Welcome to the Unlock 360 podcast, where education leaders share how they're turning vision into action, one system, one school, and one student at a time, because strong systems give every learner a better shot at success. Welcome back, everybody, to Unlock 360. We have a very special guest joining us from Arkansas this morning, Dr. Julie Williams, the Deputy Superintendent of Fayetteville Public Schools in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Welcome, Dr. Williams.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here to share the beautiful things that we're doing in the promised land down here.
You're welcome. I can't wait to hear more about it. In fact, I interviewed another person from Arkansas recently, and I'm just really looking forward to learning more about education in your state. One of the pieces that I wanted to share for our audience is that Fayetteville Public Schools serves approximately 10,000 students and has 19 campuses with 17 schools. Dr. Williams, will you share with our audience a little bit about your journey in education that led you to where you are today?
I would be delighted to share. So, I started teaching in 1989. So, I've been in education for 36 years. And I actually started in a little K-8 district in southern Missouri. And at that time, we had 7 teachers for 120 students. We shared buses with other campuses. And so, we actually did all of the special events and recess and lunch ourselves. So, it was a really great training ground. I was there 2 years. And then I moved to Alton, Missouri, where I became a first grade teacher. I do have an early childhood technology and math background, which is really an odd combination. But so I taught first grade and then second, third, and fourth there. And then because of my math background, whenever there was a need for a math teacher, because I went to an engineering school, Missouri S&T, I actually would be moved to I've done 7 through 12 math, physics, that sort of thing as well. So in the long haul of my teaching career, I've taught every single grade, K through 12. Then after obtaining my doctorate, I did pre-service teachers, graduate teachers, and doctoral sequence at some different universities in Missouri. And then I went from teaching to become really basically an instructional specialist, a curriculum director, assistant superintendent for a number of years, and then eventually superintendent in Missouri before retiring. I retired after 33 years, moved to Northwest Arkansas, to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and what a difference in my background experiences and my new life that I'm living, because I grew up and taught in the second most impoverished county of Missouri,
Okay.
and there was little opportunity, um, no industry. And so I also grew up that way. I grew up with very little. And I think that has really shaped and framed who I am. And my passion for reaching out for under-resourced or marginalized children. I can relate to where they come from. And then to move to Northwest Arkansas for the second career that I've begun as the deputy superintendent over all the operations here. I've switched. I'm not over academics anymore. I'm over HR, finance, construction, food service, transportation, everything is
Okay.
operational
Yeah.
here in Northwest Arkansas. And to switch coming from very impoverished areas of Missouri to, for those who are not familiar, Northwest Arkansas, we have a number of Fortune 500 companies based here, including the national headquarters for Walmart. And so with that comes the opportunity for philanthropy, and those companies have been very generous to all the schools in Northwest Arkansas where they are
That's
housed.
wonderful.
And so, yeah, it has absolutely been phenomenal experience for me. I can think of one day that I had a teacher come and ask me for something that I would have thought before would be an extravagance. And I went to my superintendent, and he had a wonderful response for me. He said, for all of the 33 years that you had wished that you could do one single thing with your students, and now you've been blessed with the opportunity to do that. So I've had to reframe my mindset but I still focus on under-resourced and marginalized children to ensure that they have an opportunity, the
Okay.
same types of opportunities that other students in our district have.
Okay. So you've mentioned a few things that bring up some questions for me. So first, when you retired, did you plan on being retired?
No.
Okay.
So I retired one day and went to work in my new district the next day.
Okay, so you knew that you weren't really going to retire.
Right. I think I people always say you know when you know,
Uh,
and, I've watched so many educators retire, including my aunt who's in her late 80s, and she told me how saddened she was after she retired and that she wished she had not retired, so early, or because eventually many people go on to find other careers or other jobs,
right.
uh, to sustain their life until they're old enough to, get Medicare, Medicaid,
Yeah.
or insurance for the elderly. And so for me, I knew that I feel extremely blessed with the opportunities I've been given in life and research and my background knowledge. And I felt like I wasn't ready to stop because I want to empower others to follow their paths and their dreams and to make sure that we continue to provide. So
Okay, all right. That wasn't the, answer I expected, but, that's wonderful, I love it. And the other question that, popped in my mind as you were telling us about your journey, was with regards to this request. Do you remember the request the teacher had that you thought might be was,
I do, but it will seem extravagant to the general public.
okay,
And so, uh, they needed a charter bus
okay,
to go on a field trip. And for me, that's an odd request coming from an impoverished county in
sure.
Missouri because we use school buses to go everywhere. But interestingly, something I've found since I am over transportation here, with the number of schools we have and the number of athletic and choir and extracurricular events that we've had, I have found that chartering, I developed a partnership with a charter company, and there is like a mileage break where that hiring a charter company to transport your students becomes more efficient financially than the wear and tear and the cost of using your own buses. And so, and nobody would think that
No,
normally,
yeah.
but it absolutely, it's about a 200 mile. If you go over 200 miles round trip, a charter bus is more efficient than using school owned
Wow.
transportation.
Okay. This is really interesting and could be very helpful for some leaders in rural communities who have, a lot of ground to cover when they are looking at costs for transportation and getting kids even to and from school. Something like that.
That
Little tidbit could be helpful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I kind of bartered um, mediated a cut
Uh
cost
huh.
for using them and for each trip, and it's been sensational because before when people think about chartering a bus, you would think, "Oh, that might cost 3 or $4,000 to charter a large enough bus for a team." But we found that we were using them so often that if we gave them a much less amount, but use them on a contract that we could more readily afford it, and they were all in because if you use them often, then it's a win-win for everyone. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And I'm also just wondering, are there any other, tips that you can think of? I think I shared with you before the show that operations, the financial side of
Mhm.
running a school district really isn't my jam. I am more on the
Yeah,
instructional side of things. And so, but I know many superintendents tune into the show, and I'm curious if there are any other tips that you have. Um,
quite a few.
yeah, up your sleeve that you might wanna share, 1 or 2 that you can think of off the cuff
Okay.
that could be helpful.
So everyone knows there's a national bus driver shortage. It honestly around COVID, I think, when the pandemic occurred, then it was very difficult for schools to come back and man their bus fleet. And so a couple things that we've started doing. Um, One thing is we incentivize any one of our staff members. Uh, if they can promote or get someone to sign up to drive the bus, even part-time, then we give them a bonus. We give
Right.
the employee a bonus for that. And then the other thing that we've done is there was a school of thought that if you are a coach, you're going to drive without your own consent, without, that's just part of your job. But what we found to be true was that often they are teaching all day long and then driving all night. And so um, and then for no extra money, we found that to be a little egregious, to be honest with you. And so we have developed a miscellaneous pay system for the number of trips that they take. And so we're actually going to propose next year that if you will drive 10 trips, you get this amount of miscellaneous pay addendum to your, and I think that there are just so many little things that we need to reframe our mindset from the traditional, this is what you'll do, to how can we help you want to do it rather than force you to do it. And there are lots of things along that line.
Yeah. That's actually really close to my heart, because, a very, very dear, friend of mine, she's my best friend's daughter, went into teaching a few years ago, and she's actually left the field, and she loved it, but the expectations were a bit high. She did get into coaching, and she was struggling. Here she is in her third year, I believe, of teaching. She's coaching girls volleyball, girls basketball, soccer, which she had never really played in her life, and having to wash the uniforms and drive the bus, and being asked to go study and get this license to be able to drive the bus, and she was just overwhelmed. She was
Exactly.
just drowning, and yeah, it's really sad that we would lose
You
people.
are correct.
Yeah.
That's common. What you describe is so common with people wanting to get out of the profession because the traditional mindset of this is the way we've always done it, and we will force you to do this, or you won't have a job. We just have to reframe the way we think about educators, especially with the attack on public education that
Yeah.
we've experienced in the last so many years. We have to do our very best to incentivize our teachers and our coaching staff. That's another mind shift I've had. I can remember as a classroom teacher sitting in meetings and thinking the coaches were rude or got special
Um,
treatment or that sort of thing. And now being over athletics as an operational leader, the amount of time put in from early morning hours of practice and late night, and then also covering classes all day, it's it's astounding to me. You really would have to have a passion to be a coach to stay in the athletic field,
yeah,
truly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's really a powerful, perspective that you've gained, and I appreciate, you sharing that piece with us. On another note, across the nation, states are implementing policies around no cell phones, and I understand that Arkansas has a bell-to-bell no cell,
Too.
policy. In your role, is that a piece that you, um, that you touch in your leadership?
Yes. And so actually, a couple of years ago, um, we delved into the anxious generation, the research behind the technology impact on young adults. And we actually have partnered with other tech companies to help mitigate the damage that has been done by over immersion into technology for students. One of them is called Parent Protech, Protech, which is a company that has an abundance. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of videos about Roblox, any kind of activity or game that children participate in, and it shows the good, the bad, the ugly, and it's available to parents, and so they can say, "What is my child doing, and what are the hidden dangers of what my child is being exposed to on the internet or with their video gaming systems? And then how can I, as a parent, allow my child to be a part of it, but also safeguard them against the damages that could occur?" And so we, as a district, started in on ways that we could limit screen time and limit cell time before it was actually impacted in the state of Arkansas, before it was actually
Okay.
initiated by Sarah Sanders in Arkansas. So we have a screen time policy in place where that children, even our classroom teachers, are limited on the time they can expose children to using technology at all in the classroom. And we used the Department of Health and what is recommended by physicians for children, the limited time of exposure they should have. And what we found was above junior high, really, honestly, there are no guidelines about how much time, but below that, there, and we have that online on our website
Okay.
about how many minutes per day that we allow students to be engaged in technology. And then last year, we limited the amount of cell phone. We completely did away with cell phone use in K through 6, and then we limited the amount of cell phone use in 7 through 12. And we thought, man, people are going to have a grand uprising over this, or kids could have a grand uprising over this. But what happened as a result of it, when it actually became a state law this year, it's so interesting. Our teachers say now, uh, that at lunchtime kids are talking to each other, and even I mean, they're interacting socially. I can tell you, as the person who deals with expulsion in our district, that from my first year of being about 1 or 2 expulsions every week or so, I've gone last year to like 4 or 5
Wow.
expulsions. And this year we've had 1 expulsion.
Wow,
So
that's
it's amazing. Yeah,
really
it's
is
absolutely
amazing.
amazing.
And, it's I'm hearing similar things from other district leaders in, Texas, uh, Colorado, and California. I think, all have been on the show recently, and not every conversation has included this topic, but it has come up. And the piece that you shared about seeing kids actually talking to each other at lunch and, in between classes, is I've heard that one before. And that, it reminds me of the simple premise of expectations in that, you know, s- in general, kids are going to rise to the expectations that we set. And I guess we were just kind of allowing it to happen. Even if
Well,
maybe we didn't think we were as in
yeah.
yeah.
I was a Missouri EMINTS teacher, which is enhancing Missouri's integrated technologies in schools back years ago when they first introduced computers into the classroom, and we couldn't get enough. I can remember principals going in and evaluating, did you integrate technology? You need to integrate
Yeah.
technology. And that was a big thing. And now we realize that kind of the art of teaching's been lost a little bit through handing over our power to online experiences and learning, and no more than it was in COVID. COVID was probably the worst ever.
Yeah.
But along those, yeah, we along those lines, though, speaking about discipline and technology and the correlation between those two, um, what I found to be true was that kids would get online and bully each other, or with their cell phones, and say, "I will meet you in the bathroom and we'll smoke a joint in the bathroom, or we're going to beat somebody up in the bathroom, or you mess with me." And then, so an additional piece that we implemented, which I believe has helped mitigate the discipline issue, is we went from what I would call our gang bathrooms. A traditional restroom has a wall where females go in, or males go into the male area, and it's hidden from the hallway. And so you could go in and hide basically for an entire class period if you wanted to. So we worked with some nationally renowned architects, and we redesigned our high school, where that we have 29 sets of bathrooms, but we still have separate gender areas in the hall. But we did away with that large wall, and we put the sink on the outside. And then we built individual independent stalls for females, individual independent stalls for males, like you might see, um, like an airport, but open. But it goes from
Yeah.
the top of the ceiling all the way to the floor. So you have complete privacy, but you are on a gender specific area, of course. And so that I really believe with my whole heart, not being able to hide, there were kids afraid to go to the restroom
Oh,
because
yes.
of who might be in the restroom. But now it's the washing your hands mirror area is open, so there's nobody hiding, there's nobody getting away from you, and then you can safely go to the restroom by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really made a difference. It's tremendous the
It
difference it's made.
resonates. It really resonates with me. I'm joining you today from Fort Worth, Texas. This is our headquarters. And, but my career has taken me to various places, Central Texas, or Houston area, and then to Southern California. And then after leaving a school district system, I've been to several other states. But all that has come full circle, and I'm right back here in my hometown, just shortly after, yeah, just shortly after the pandemic. But so I'm literally 10, 15 minutes from the high school I graduated from. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah, and it's definitely evolved and grown quite a bit, but I will say that, one of my own family members who of course, I loved very, dearly, she graduated, from high school a couple of I will not name the actual high school, graduated a couple of years ago, and I remember in her junior and senior year, she was sharing that she didn't go to the bathroom all day because she was afraid, and that, one of the major issues was that there were kiddos in the bathroom that would skip class, hang out in there all,
Correct.
for hours on end, vaping and getting away with that, but also then, not wanting other kids to come in because they were vaping and, possibly
Right,
smoking a joint or, doing things they weren't supposed to be
right.
doing and getting away with it. And meanwhile, we have kiddos that are not using the bathroom all day long because they're
I
afraid.
know. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey to rebuild these restrooms where that everyone is safe. And then I 100% attribute the complete decline. No, I'm not saying complete decline because we're all human beings, and even outside of school, human beings misbehave, right? But I'm going to tell you, school related cell phone restroom incidents, which were most of them, to be honest with you, have basically completely gone away. I haven't had a restroom incident since maybe one last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I'm thinking of another incident where, in fact, my very first years of teaching, in the
Mhm.
Houston area, I made 2 dear friends that, it's been, 25 years or so, and, we're still really great friends today. But she ended up relocating, not long after I relocated from Houston to Southern California. She ended up relocating back home to her hometown of, Chicago, and her son, um, he started getting really picked on in his junior high. Um, some children filmed him in the bathroom while he was using the restroom and then put that out there for others to see, and it was damaging, clearly.
The majority of emotional damage, in my opinion, that has occurred from bullying has been technology related with young children. And so the emotional well being, which is what our focus is on the whole child, of course, the emotional well being by limiting the amount of exposure to technology is astounding, absolutely astounding. Yeah.
Yeah,
But no child I can't imagine thinking that somebody's when I was growing up, I went home and I went home. I went and played with my brothers or whatever, and I never communicated again with those kids until the next day. But now you can't run away from people.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know, and then it's just everywhere too. It's not like it's just, you're humiliated amongst this group in this area. It's everywhere once it gets out on the web, so
that's right. We're even building our new schools this way. So we have 2 new junior highs that we're building, and from now on, we will build our restrooms this way, where there's no way to be bullied or cornered in a restroom.
that's
Yeah.
great. That is fantastic. Um, I'm actually also curious now about the role of technology when it comes to assessment in your district, because many, states have their state assessment online, or requires use of technology, and a lot of local assessments are administered that way as well. Uh,
We
is
are.
Is that true for, Fayetteville?
That's absolutely true as well. And so, which having been old school and done the old Missouri test paper, thick pamphlet like this thick for every grade, and kids get sick and throw up on it or whatever. And then to actually go over to online testing, I do prefer the online testing. It takes much less time, much less time away from instruction for students. And yes, we have what we call the Atlas test in
Mhm.
Arkansas, and we do. Our textbooks, we have online and physical textbooks, and we do a lot of our work online in that regard. But I think in response to that, for the most part, not kindergarten, first and second. Yeah, there's some,
Mhm.
but not much as much. And then once again, those guidelines are limited for third, fourth, fifth, sixth, how much time they can spend. And then they probably spend as much time on state testing as they would anything, to be honest with you. But we do practice online. We do use our online assessment tools, which are available through our textbook companies as well. So yeah, we do
So
that.
the, assessments that are done online, is that then counted towards the amount of time that the students can
No, no.
interact with? Okay, so that's a s
Well,
on
if on a regular, yeah, if you were speaking about giving the textbook assessment, yes,
okay, yeah.
but not
It's
the
just
state
the state
assessment. The
assessment
state
that
assessment's a
is
different beast. Yeah,
got it, okay.
but I understand. I wouldn't wanna go back to old school paper pencil testing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we would have rooms full of boxes, like,
Oh
literally
my
a whole
god.
room full of
Yes.
boxes.
Yes, and I had to count, when I was the curriculum director or academic director, I can remember my office being piled over when the counselors would send all the tests to me to count. I would manually count how many were in each box and then put the paper in the
Yes.
box to tell how many there were. It was a nightmare.
Yes, and I remember getting my assessments, and I would have to count to make sure my count matched their
Yeah,
count, and we would sign off and
yeah.
Yeah,
It was a
it
nightmare.
really was a lot, indeed.
Mhm.
Okay, so here's another question I have for you because you mentioned, something that I did not necessarily know about Northwest Arkansas and, the affluent nature of the community.
Right.
How do you all address what strategies are you using to address equity?
That's great. So I hope at the end of this, I will speak a little bit to our website so people can gain more information about our equity efforts. But there are a couple, two, three, four, five things that we're doing. I came here 3 years ago with Dr. John Mulford. He was a new superintendent here. I was a new deputy superintendent here. And one of the things that I was brought to my attention straight away was the disparity among the playground offerings because we have schools that have 85% poverty. We have some schools that have 11% poverty. And so there's a huge disparity among them. And traditionally, parent teacher organizations will raise money and help buy equipment for playgrounds or give to their particular school. And so one school would be very bougie and one school was not. And as you said, we had 17 campuses. And so what we decided to do is to dedicate a specific amount of money each year to all of our playgrounds so that we would have new ADA uh, playground equipment that was equal
Mhm.
on each of the playgrounds. And we intended to do that over 3 years, but we've been able, in the last 2 years, we've been able to cover every single playground and bring them up to scope. And so it's been a beautiful thing. The other thing that we have done is um, as with any school district that has many schools, there is what people would have thought of traditionally years ago as one side of the track and the other side of the track. And those schools would have disparities in what people would offer in regard to opportunity. And so Dr. Mulford began a couple years ago with town hall meetings and engagement meetings with parents, students, and the community. He does about 29 per year, aside from the ones he does every month on Wednesday. And he asked them questions about what they wanted. And the parents really wanted what we could describe as feeder patterns, which would mean they wanted their child to go to the same elementary with the same friends they went to the middle
Right.
school. junior high school and high school more like a small town would be,
Mhm.
where that the same school kids went to school all together all the way through. And so we started looking at the distance from the homes to the schools that we had and how we might offer the same type of opportunities among our elementaries, middle schools, junior high schools, and high school.
Okay.
And what we came up with was an opportunity starting in 2027 where that the children will go from it will be it went from like a 66% free reduced average to an area that might have a 33% average on free reduced. Now we've equaled it out where they're all around like 25. And so the students will go from a common area to a middle school together that has the same average of diversity and equity to junior high to the high school, so that we've equal out uh, desegregated some of
Yeah.
the prior under-resourced students, because people would think, that of course we're in 2025, there's desegregation, but they forget about poverty. And there has not been desegregation of poverty. There are areas where children have different opportunities because of where they live. And so we are building 2 brand new junior highs,
Okay.
and that way we will have an opportunity for children to equal out and have equal exposure to the same resources.
I like
So we're
that.
very excited, very
That's super
excited.
exciting, and
Yeah.
yes, Julie, I see this I see this in
Mhm.
so many places still today, where if you're on the west side of the highway, it's this, east side of the highway,
That's right.
it's that.
That's
Or,
right.
this zip code is this, and this zip code is that within the same school district, and it's very well known, and the kids know this. The kids know
The
this.
kids know this. That's right. The kids know this. It's I Our website is fayar.net, fayar.net, and on the very front of our website there is a an opportunity for people to become familiar with our new efforts that I just spoke to you about on fayar.net, and it shows everything that we're doing to create an equitable opportunity for all of our children. And it has links to all of our new architecture, our sustainability efforts. All of those things are on our website.
Thank you, and Julie, I'm wondering about your sustainability efforts, will you share a little bit about that?
I'm thrilled to share about that. And this goes right into what I just said about our website. You can find more about it, but we are fortunate to live in an area where people understand the importance of recycling, composting, and taking care of our natural resources. It's a beautiful state that we live in, and we have opportunities to do that here. So, a few of the things that we are doing, we are focusing on outdoor education. So they will see when they go to our website that our new architectural builds have as much outdoor classroom space and experience as our indoor space. And so we are working on well certification and lead certification and site certification on our builds. And what that means is lead certification is working toward a net zero effort of energy use. Site certification is ensuring that we have the least disruption of the natural part of our environment. And then well certification focuses solely on the human being and the emotional, physical, cognitive, whole child effort, and how we're working as much to provide spaces that attend to their emotional needs. And so we're working very diligently. We have a sustainability plan that will be approved this Thursday night at our school board meeting. And then after that date, after approval, we'll have a place on our website that shows all of our sustainable efforts toward energy and well site lead certification. In addition to that, something I found out because I go to the Green Schools Network annual conference to learn as much as I can about how I can help my students. I did a little research, and Northwest Arkansas was putting about, and this is not uncommon. I think if you researched, you would find it as well everywhere. We were putting 10 million milk cartons in the ground every year.
Oh,
So what I found after my research is that our district was putting 1 million cartons in the ground every year, and in Northwest Arkansas we're putting over 10 million milk cartons
wow.
in the ground every year,
I
which
never thought
are
of that.
not,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
you cannot recycle them. They're not compostable. They're going into the ground, these wax boxes. And so after going to a green schools conference, I found out about bulk milk. And bulk milk is it's a machine very much like you would see if you went to McDonald's or somewhere where you disperse your soda,
Yeah.
but we disperse milk using that instead of using non-compostable, non-recyclable boxes. So we started this year in our middle schools, and we did away with the use of disposable plates. We don't have disposable anything. Everything is reusable every day and washed. And so we have glasses that are specific to be measured, where kids can walk up and get their either chocolate or their white milk. And then they can also, like, there is little waste because any food waste goes into a composting bin. And the only thing that they would have that would be left over from a lunchroom would be a napkin. And so it has gone from large, heavy bags of waste to barely any waste whatsoever, because we work with our composting here in Fayetteville, who pick up our leftover food for composting into um, ground products. And so,
This is
yeah,
super interesting. Okay. Have you been doing this enough, or long enough to, have like a cost analysis? I mean, clearly the cost of our
right,
environment is
right,
not good with all the wax
right,
in the ground.
right.
But, yeah, I'm just curious, like,
Yes. So before I even did it, I tried to decide which would cost more, right? Would it cost more to buy cartons and just throw them away? Or would it cost more to buy bulk milk and wash and have industrial machines clean them because of manpower?
mhm.
And what we have found is cheaper. It's much cheaper to compost and use bulk milk than to buy cartons of milk.
That
Yeah,
is awesome. And so for those of you tuning in who may be struggling with, limited financial resources, and just
right.
some uncertainties in funding and such out there right now, this is looks like a way that you could potentially save and do better by the environment. I love that, Julie.
Right.
Thank you.
Their custodians will be thrilled. Our custodial and maintenance are so happy because they don't have to deal with throwing out that trash every day.
Mm.
It's been tremendous. We just wheel out our compost bins, which are collected by our compost facility.
That is so cool. Yes. I have just really loved having you as a guest on the show today, Julie. I've learned so much, and I'm hoping that our audience has some awesome takeaways as well. You've already shared where people can go to learn more about the efforts that you have underway. Is that also where they could go if they're looking for a new district to call home for
Yes,
their kids to go
yes,
or to like look for a
yes.
job?
We would love that. And in Arkansas, we do have school choice. When I was in Missouri and they were entertaining the thought of school choice, I was very much against it because I'm such a public school person. But what we found out is that the Arkansas voucher system, those who are collecting vouchers to go to private schools were going there anyway. And the people that were going to public school were going there anyway. So it really hasn't drawn away from our population at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's good because I know that we do have quite a few, including my own friends and family here in Texas, tuning in, and that's been a hot topic lately.
Right.
Following the recent legislature here. So thank you so much. And you know what I think is really cool? You have you're lucky. Hey, Fayetteville Public Schools, if you're listening, you are so fortunate to have a leader like Julie Williams who has a background of instruction and has stepped into this role because so often folks that are making decisions about how to spend the money in a school district or how to attend to the buildings and the operational side don't have an instructional background. In fact, frequently, they come from the business world,
Correct.
necessarily even have an educational background when they step into those roles because they're just really solid accountants or, and
Right.
that's, not to knock it. They bring a great set of skills as well, but I think that Dr. Williams, your perspective, having that strong instructional background is super powerful when you're making these other decisions, um,
Thank you.
about, the students and the district as a whole and what's best. So,
Yeah, I find that it's been a gift to me to be able to serve the children of Northwest Arkansas and of South Missouri and South Central Missouri, and I just feel like I'm really fortunate to have landed where I did.
yes, indeed. Okay. Well, there you have it, everyone. Dr. Julie Williams of Fayetteville Public Schools. It's been an honor to have you on the show.
Thank
And everyone tuning in, thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Unlock 360 podcast. Follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube, and visit leadteachlearn360.com to learn more about us, because every school deserves systems that work and leaders who can make them thrive.